about the administration's stance on gun control when President Biden holds his first formal press conference since taking office more than 2 months ago. NPR's Aisha Roscoe reports Biden waited much longer to hold a formal press conference than any of his modern predecessors.
President Biden will likely face intense questioning about the conditions at the southern border. The administration is under scrutiny over its handling of a surge of migrants from Central America. The administration ended a controversial program requiring migrants to stay in Mexico, but there are now concerns about the conditions at the facilities where unaccompanied minors are being held. Biden also will likely contend with questions about how his administration is responding to gun violence, including 2 mass shootings in the span of a week. Biden has called for Congress to restore a federal ban on assault-style weapons and make background checks mandatory for every gun sale. Aisha Roscoe, NPR News.
At last check on Wall Street, the Dow Jones Industrial Average was up 31 points at 32,452. This is NPR News. More political uncertainty overshadows one of the U.S.'s closest allies. Israel's ability to form a new government has been thrown into doubt since Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and his right-wing allies appear to have fallen short of a parliamentary majority. Nearly all the votes have been counted. This week's election in Israel was the country's 4th in just 2 years. The vote was widely seen as a referendum on Netanyahu's leadership at a time when he's also on trial for alleged corruption, which the embattled prime minister has described as a witch hunt. Officials in Egypt say ships remain backed up waiting to pass through the Suez Canal. NPR's Ruth Sherlock reports a large container ship has been grounded in the canal since Tuesday.
Efforts continue to move the Ever Given, the massive container ship that's run aground blocking the narrow Suez Canal. So far, attempts have been made to free the ship using dredgers, help from the high tides and tugboats, all to no avail. The ship's operator says the vessel was pushed off course by strong winds. At least 150 other ships are now said to be backed up, waiting to pass through the Egyptian waterway that connects the Red Sea with the Mediterranean. The closure could affect oil and gas shipments to Europe from the Middle East. The price of crude oil has increased. The ship's Japanese owner has apologized for the incident and says they remain determined to solve the situation as soon as possible. Ruth Sherlock, NPR News.
U.S. stocks mixed this hour. The Nasdaq is down 27, S&P's up 4, and the Dow Jones Industrial up 57 points. This is NPR.
Support for NPR comes from NPR stations. Other contributors include Fisher Investments, wealth management from dedicated advisors that tailor portfolios to each client's unique goals. More at FisherInvestments.com. Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
Good afternoon. You're listening to classical music here on West Virginia Public Broadcasting. I'm your host for this afternoon, Matt Jackford. And today we have some special guests as part of our WVPB Call for Performers. We have the 4-piece ensemble Aurora Celtic here with us live in studio. Welcome to the show, guys.
Hi, thanks, Matt. We're happy to be here.
So glad you all are on. We have Mike Broderick, we have Alice Fleischman, Wesley Ridenauer, and Chris Verne. And Mike will be doing a lot of the talking this afternoon. So, Mike, go ahead and tell us a little bit about the group and where you all are from and all that good stuff.
Sure. Our group, Aurora Celtic, we play mostly Irish, Celtic, some old-time music, and we're from Preston County. Actually, Chris was raised in Preston County, now lives in Garrett County, Maryland, but we're up north, about a 3-hour drive from here. And Alice and I have been playing together, over 20 years. And Wes has just come on board about a year ago, and we've been playing with Chris off and on for about 5 or 6 years.
Oh, that's great. Okay, and then tell us about what your past year has been like. I know it's been a lot different. I'm sure.
Sure. Yeah. Last March is our busiest month as an Irish group, and of course, all of our St. Paddy's Day gigs were canceled at the last minute. Everything shut down, and so we've been just kind of on hold for almost a year. We played a couple gigs outside in the summer, and that's about it. This is our first playing out experience in a while. We have some festivals coming up, Doddridge County Celtic Festival, the Garrett County Celtic Festival, and things are opening up, so we're looking forward to that.
Great. Sounds good. I'm glad everything is getting geared up and ready to go. And as I understand, you all are well vaccinated at this point. So
Yeah,
there
I
are,
think we're
about
pretty good to
at
go.
least one shot, between all of you also.
Yep.
That's great. I mean, that's how we get live music back going is making sure everybody's immunized and ready to rock so that we can have crowds back together and enjoy your all's great music. So this isn't actually your first time in the studio, isn't it? This is
right. I was going to say
return.
that this Alice and I played in this very studio 17 years ago, 2004. Had we just gotten with another group that we played with, Keith and Joan Pitzer, and it was called Wolf Creek Session. And we had just gotten back from a little tour we did in France, and we came in to see Joe Dobbs and George Walker, and it was great fun. Yeah, they had a show called Music in the Mountains.
Yeah.
And we just recently dug up a recording of that session. It was really fun. Yeah.
That's great. The late George Walker was a great host for West Virginia Public Broadcasting. I'm sure many of our listeners recognize that name. So let's go ahead and start with some music here. That's why we're here. And if you want to go ahead and introduce a piece.
Yeah, we're going to play a couple of Irish traditional tunes, Miss Mary MacDonald and Rolling in the Barrel. These are actually the tunes we opened with in 2004. So we thought we'd do them again. And if we come back in 17 years, we'll play them again.
Okay, great. That's a way to open both shows here. We've got some little continuity with us. So Miss Mary MacDonald, and this is going to be performed here live by Aurora Celtic. Great job, guys. That was some beautiful music. Miss Mary MacDonald there. And we had a performance here live in our studio with Aurora Celtic. And that's what you started out the last time you were here in public broadcasting. So we're got a little continuity with us here.
We're going to keep playing it until we get it right, which is
okay. So we'll try again in 17 years. No, you all did great. That was a wonderful performance. It's really great to have you all on here. Why don't you go ahead and introduce, the rest of the band here?
Oh, sure. Alice Fleischman. Like I said, we've been playing a long time together. She lives in Aurora also, owns a business called East West Printing. And she's likes to say she's a recovering classical player.
Okay, yeah, many of us out there.
She learned the notes, to read the notes, and now she plays by ear and thinks it's much more fun, right?
Much happier.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I understand that. Lot of less dots on the page. That's for sure.
Yeah, Wes is a classically trained guitarist, has a degree, and plays in his church, and has lots of different styles that he's played. From rock to classical to Irish to everything. Jazz. Oh yeah, jazz too. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Theater.
Great. That's Wesley's playing guitar. Wesley Ridenauer.
And Chris has played in multiple bands. We're happy to have him. He's works with the DEP, keeping our rivers and waters safe, and especially during this time he's busy.
Okay. All right. Well, he's rocking the bass over there.
Yeah.
So that's Chris Verne on bass too, and we got a great group here in Aurora Celtic. So go ahead and introduce us our next piece of music.
Sure. This next set that we're going to do, we're going to start off with a Scottish tune called Loch Aber Badger, and we're going to go into a traditional Irish jig called the Hungry Rock.
All right, take it away. Yeah, great job, guys. That was some. That was what, Loch Aber Badger. Did I pronounce that right, or am I
Loch Aber.
Loch Aber. That was close.
Loch is the lake, like sort of like Loch Ness, but they don't have a monster. I don't
Gotcha. Well, I've butchered worse names before, I would say. No, I'm just kidding. But that was a great performance there. Wonderful job. And you all, tell us about some of the different instruments you play. I mean, you all switch around so much, so tell us
Sure.
about that.
Well, I play fiddle, mandolin, and low whistle. Both my mandolin and fiddle are made by a great luthier in Garrett County, Roger Skipper. He was a great friend and makes a lot of instruments that Alice and I play. And so I started out as a piano player and like Alice, recovering classical musician.
Of course.
Took up the fiddle, having much more fun.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Alice, go ahead. Tell us about your banjo and where it came from and everything.
Well, I'm playing a tenor banjo. It's a 1937 Bacon banjo. I think it was before the company was called Bacon and Day. But anyway, this belonged
Sounds
to my
delicious.
dad. My dad was a tenor banjo player, more in the jazz and pizza parlor style. But he was actually quite tickled that I picked it up, and in fact, he passed away just 2 years ago now. And when I visited him in the hospital right before he left us, he called me over to his bed and said, "Al, I'm so glad you like the banjo." So that was my last message from my dad.
Well, he's clearly proud. That is
Yeah.
great to hear.
So my other instruments are penny whistle, and this is a Copeland penny whistle, Michael Copeland, really fine brass penny whistle.
Used to actually cost a penny. Now
It used to be. Now we call it a pretty penny whistle. And then this is an Irish flute, a wooden flute in D, blackwood flute, made by the very famous flute maker in Nellies Ford, Virginia, Patrick Allwell. I've had this flute for many years. It's simple system, no keys, but I managed to get enough notes out of it.
Yeah, absolutely, right. And then we got the guitar here.
Yeah, I'm playing a Taylor guitar that my wife found. It's actually my wife's, I have to say. She found it at a used store, and there's just something nice about it. It has a really great sound, and so I'm using it today. Usually I prefer to play on nylon string as a classical guitarist, but for this I'm just playing all on this Taylor, and I believe it's a 114 CE model.
Okay.
So I think a bottom bass model, but it just sounds great.
Awesome. And then we got the bass here. He doesn't have a mic close to his face, but
It's a bass.
he says it's a bass. There we go.
well said, Chris.
That kept it short and sweet for us. Great. Thank you, Chris, for that. All right, well, let's move on to our next tune here. Go ahead and tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, this is an original tune that I wrote. It's called the Bella Luna Waltz, meaning beautiful moon. And we came home. I saw a beautiful West Virginia moon on the way home from practice, and kind of was inspired. The first part's in minor. It's a little bit kind of gypsy, Russian feel, and the second part is major, and it's more of an old time waltzy feel. So
All right.
This is called Bella Luna Waltz.
And we should talk about, before we play, the opposite of the Picardy third for all those musicians out there. Yeah, so usually, if a song's in minor, it ends in major, you call that a Picardy third. Well, this is major and ends in minor, so we call it the Broderick Bummer.
Yeah, we don't want to leave them happy. We don't, really sad.
The reverse Picardy third. Okay, here we go. End with minor. There's that sad Picardy third right there. The bummer, the Broderick bummer. What was it? Is that what you called it? That's pretty great. Okay, and that was a piece there. That was Belluna.
Waltz.
Yeah, Belluna, a little waltz there. And we're getting to a lot of great comments on our Facebook live stream. Ruth says, hooray for Aurora Celtic. Heidi says, I'm a fan of the guitar player. She seems to share the name of the guitar player. So,
Ringer.
Yeah, right. We've got a ringer. Leah says, sounds great. Paul says, you sound great. Dan, great job. Aurora Celtic. Catherine's been waiting for this and says, wonderful sound. And then so many more comments. Someone's listening from Naperville, Illinois. I mean, we've got...
Oh, yeah, that's my son's wife's parents.
Okay.
Paul and Gary. Hi. Paul and Gary.
All right. We got fans from all over here tuning in to Aurora Celtic live in our studio, and we're very excited to have you guys here. Let's go ahead and jump into that next piece here.
Sure. The next piece was written by our bass player, Chris Byrne. It's actually Byrne with a B. And he wrote this. It's called Eddie on the Laurel. And it's Eddie with sort of like the water swirl Eddie, and not the name, right? And then so that's one piece inspired by the water, and the next piece is one that I wrote called Rapids Reel, inspired by a series of rapids on the Cheat River near where we live. So we're going to do 2 river tunes here.
All right, here we go. Eddie on the Laurel and Rapids Reel.
1, 2, 3, 4.
was great. That was a set of 2 songs there, Eddie on the Laurel and then Rapids Reel, performed here live in our studio by Aurora Celtic. And I got a question. So how do you go about, writing a piece for your group? Do you, write your own part and then everybody else sort of forms their part around it? Or do you write everybody's part and, give it to them? Or how does that work? Let us know.
As a composer yourself, I'm sure you're aware of some of the process. A tune can start with a fragment of a melody, a chordal progression, or a rhythm, or some other inspiration. But for me, it starts with the melody because Irish music is very melody centric. And then there's a lot of traditional modes like the Dorian mode, Mixolydian mode. That sort of thing is very common in Irish music. So a lot of our stuff kind of uses that. So I get the melody. It's usually got an A part, a B part, maybe a C part, and try to put some chords with it if I can. But I leave it to the other guys to kind of flesh it out, and we kind of work on the arrangements as a group.
Right. Yeah, that's what I figured. I figured everybody sort of had their own input on their part, and maybe even commented on your part, and those sort of ended up being like a group. Right.
Sometimes I will write a tune that's unplayable on the banjo, and Alice will let me know that.
I will comment on that.
Okay, yeah, as a good group member should, make sure to keep the writers in check.
Right.
Because it's tough to write for a specific ensemble because you never know what some of the
you have to consider who your players are too.
Right.
We have very good players, so I'm not hindered in that way.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that definitely helps. So. And plus, I assume it's all done by ear, right? You just play something for them, and then somebody picks it up and listens to it.
Yeah. Alice prefers that method now. Right?
Yes.
That's the rock musician way.
She can read music, but hasn't heard her playing any. Was that the Chet Atkins or somebody said that?
Right. I was going to say, though, I did request for Mike to actually go back and make sheet music out of all of his original material, so he does have it all in PDF form.
Okay, well there you go. And so it is written
just
down.
To keep a record.
Yeah, no, that's a great idea actually. So it's not lost into the ether.
Yeah.
Okay, next up, what do we have? What do you have for us?
Okay, we're going to play. We're going to play a couple Irish traditional tunes. I'm going to play the low whistle on this, and Alice is going to play the low D flute. They're both in the same key, a little bit different timbre. And so we're going to go into it's a slow one and then into a faster one. Okay. I'm sorry. The first one is called Tea Hens, and the second one is called Dunmore Lasses.
Tea Hens and Dunmore Lasses, performed live here in our studios by Aurora Celtic. music, guys. We had heard two pieces there. Tea Hands, right? And then Dunmore Lasses. Am I right there? Sounds right.
Yep, that's it.
I think I got it. And performed here live in studio by Aurora Celtic. And we have all sorts of great comments here. Ruth says, nice solo, Wes. Donna says, thanks for the river tunes from the Clark Fork River Valley north of Missoula.
Yeah.
And then Heidi again says, way to shred, hubby. George says, yeah. And Raphael says, loving this tune, lower tones coming through great. And he loves rapids as well. And somebody here says, please do become a member of West Virginia Public Broadcasting. It is money very well spent. Thank you, Walt, for saying that, because it is our spring pledge drive. And we, of course, would love to hear from those listeners out there who are enjoying this performance. This is something that has come from our friends of West Virginia Public Broadcasting Board. They've allowed us to have the equipment we needed to run this live stream, and it comes from donations from members like yourself. So call in to 1-800-RADIO-87, 1-800-723-4687, or you can donate online at wvpublic.org. And I'm sure you all can attest to the positivity that West Virginia Public Broadcasting can bring to the community. Is that right?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
We can.
Yeah. Well, tell us a little bit about
and
that.
as a sustainer supporter myself, I'm always bugging my bandmates and friends to do the same and, put your money where your ears are.
Yeah, Alice is a sustaining member herself, so, she's told me off mic she wants to challenge all her friends to step up and be a sustaining member as well.
Now we have to.
Yeah, now you gotta, yeah, right. So, of course, looking for any sort of pledge of support. It doesn't have to be necessarily a sustaining membership. It could always be a one-time gift, of course. But we're looking to hear from our faithful classical listeners or just any sort of music lover out there who's enjoying this broadcast as well as other live performances that we bring to the Mountain States. So get online, wvpublic.org. You can donate there, or you can call 1-800-RADIO-87. Again, that number is 1-800-723-4687. We have all sorts of people working behind the scenes helping us out too, including Eddie Isom running the cameras.
Yes.
Good job back there. And, of course, Jeff Higley helped set us up with the audio engineering. So, of course, we appreciate all the work that's gone in. Of course, the Friends Board gave us the generous donation to help us get this live equipment going. All right, so now that we got our little pledge stuff out of the way, let's talk music again. What do we have next?
Well, next is going to be a tune that I wrote called Opposites Attract. And it's you probably appreciate the rhythm in this. It goes back and forth between 5/8, 6/8, and 7/8. So
I really appreciate that. Wow, this is math rock here.
It goes between major and minor, of course, and
very good to dance to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is this a slip jig?
Might twist an ankle, but you'll recognize some elements of a jig, and that's when it goes into the 6/8 part. So this is called Opposites Attract.
Take it away. That was music there of Aurora Celtic, played live in our studio. So thank you for that. Sorry if it seems like my head's a little split in two different ways. I've got to run the soundboard and run the live stream as well. So that was Opposites Attract.
Yeah, that's definitely one we have to each concentrate and stay on our own lane. There's lots of stuff going on there.
Right. That was honestly, there's a lot of changing meters, but you don't really feel it, which is kind of cool. You know, it all sort of melds together really well, which is nice. You know, sometimes when people do mixed meters, I mean, you can really hear the changes in the different meters, but that, you know, flows along really nice. So it's like, if you didn't say it, you almost wouldn't, you know, think about it. So great. Opposites Attract there. It says 12/8 tune, but I know that it's not all 12/8.
Not really.
Yeah.
More going on than that.
Yeah, right. Great job, guys. So let's go ahead and move on to the next one.
Sure.
What do you have for us?
These are a couple traditional tunes. The first one is a slow one called Erin's Fair Shore. And the second one is called Toss the Feathers. There's several Irish tunes called Toss the Feathers, but I think we know three of them, right, Alice? Three different Toss the Feathers.
And Toss the Feathers is a reel. Tell us what a reel is.
Oh, okay. A reel is an Irish dance tune in 4/4 time, and it's usually, you know, like 32 bars. You know, A part repeated, B part repeated, that sort of thing.
Gotcha.
It's a traditional dance. Jig, of course, is 6/8, and then there's a slip jig, which is 9/8.
Oh, okay.
And then Opposites Attract, which is 5/8, 6/8, 7/8, 9/8.
A very, very slippery jig.
Yeah, slippery jig.
Super slippery.
All right, great.
So this is called Erin's Fair Shore.
All right, here we go. Yeah, that one really rocked out, didn't it? That was cool. Oh man, that was fun. That was Aaron's Fair Shore, and then Toss the Feathers, and those are reels, and beautifully performed here by Aurora Celtic live in our studio. And we're getting all sorts of great feedback. Scotty says, takes me back to the pubs of Dublin. Dave says, cheers from the folks at Canal Joe's. Marty says, more music, please. Alicia says, love the sound. What a great afternoon. Pick me up. And then Deborah asks, she says, are these tunes on the new CD? So that's a question for you all.
Some of the tunes, we have 3 CDs, and most of the tunes we're playing are on one of the CDs, right? Except for, I think a couple of the newer ones that I wrote are not recorded yet. We hope to get back in the studio. We have a really good studio down in Elkins called Lone Wolf is
cool.
Recording with Seth Maynard, who's a really good engineer down there.
Yeah.
And so yeah, we hope to get down there again pretty soon.
So if somebody wants to buy your CD, how could they do that?
Yeah, we're on CD Baby. We're on Amazon. I think most people just do downloads these days.
Yeah.
Does anybody buy CDs? I don't know.
Yeah, great question. Yeah, if it's good enough, I'd buy this CD. I'll tell you that much.
Thanks.
We'll probably just give you one.
Oh yeah.
Some people do. I do have a CD player still in the car, so.
Yeah, we have older cars, so we have CD players. Yeah.
Right, yeah, and that's great for that. So they are, some of these tunes are on the CD, and so are you putting forth a new CD at some point?
Well, I think at some point, but I think we're going to try to record maybe one tune at a time and kind of build it up over. EP is a thing, right? Which is like 3 or 4 things you can do on an EP, yeah.
Right, exactly, yeah. That's a great way to put out.
I grew up with 78 records, so I'm kind of behind.
Okay, yeah. What about 8 tracks? Okay, let's move on to our next piece. We've got about 7.5 minutes before we got to go to 1A. So
okay,
well, maybe we could do all the next 3 songs together.
Oh, well, that's an idea.
We can pretty much. Just keep on going and
plow on through.
So we'll do a couple of original jigs that I wrote that are not recorded yet. The first one's called the Luna Moth jig, and then the Painted Lady, which is a type of butterfly. And then we'll go, Wes, if you don't mind, we'll go straight into Aurora Morning, which is a tune I wrote about our little town in Aurora. So it's great to be here, and thanks very much.
Oh, it's great to have you guys so much. So appreciate you all coming here, and I know we had to reschedule you all, but you all are very good about that and able to reschedule, and we're so grateful to have you all on. So let's take it away. Luna Moth, Painted Lady, and then Aurora Morning by Aurora Celtic here on West Virginia Public Broadcasting. Wonderful music, guys. Luna Moth, Painted Lady, both jigs there. And then we heard Aurora Morning, a waltz there, written by Mike Broderick. And that's all by Aurora Celtic live in our studio. And do you have anything else you'd like to say real quick?
Matt, we're very happy to be here. I hope we can come back in 17 years. And
yeah, once every 17 years, I think we're due for a live performance by you guys. So we'll try to get you here before, 2038. So well, thank you guys so much for coming on and performing live with us. This is Aurora Celtic, and this was part of our call for performers. And of course, if you'd like to be part of the call for performers, check out our website, wvpublic.org, and submit your performance on there. So I just want to say thank you guys so much again for coming on the show.
Thank you, Matt.
And so stay tuned for 1A that's coming up next, right here on WVPB Charleston, WVBY Beckley, WVBL Bluefield, WVPW Buchanan, WVWV Huntington, WVP Martinsburg, WVKM Matewan, WVPM Workintown, WVPG Parkersburg, WVDS Petersburg, WVWS Webster Springs, WVMP Wheeling. And we're online at wvpublic.org. And of course, if this performance moved you, maybe move to the phone and give us a call at 1-800-RADIO-87 with a pledge of support. 1-800-723-4687 is that number to call. Or you can donate online at wvpublic.org. Thank you so much for tuning in and for contributing to classical music and supporting us as well.
Americans are taking to the skies in pre-pandemic numbers. But is it too soon to be leaving on that jet plane? From WAMU and NPR in Washington, this is 1A. Hi, I'm Jen White. Today on 1A, the summer travel season. The pandemic has hit the whole economy hard, but airlines in particular are suffering from the slump. That could all change sooner than you think. Last week, there were roughly 20,000 flights a day, the highest we've seen since before the pandemic. But the CDC says we should still avoid non-essential travel. So how safe is flying? And with vaccinations on the rise, could we see the return of summer vacation? Boarding passes and comments, please, on our